Okay, fine, got it.
What's up? My name is Jarrett or Skya. Shit, I don't have to edit that part. Oh well. This is Dead Delight. I'm interviewing the one and only motherfucking Paul
How you
of
doing?
Goddamn Master. How you
Uh,
doing, man?
Doing good. Just got back yesterday. We had a festival over the weekend in Poland. It was really actually not far away, about 2 hours and 20 minutes by car, which is, most of the time when we're doing a weekend show or gigs or whatever, you're driving 7, 8 hours, sometimes 10 for one festival. But this was like 2 hours and 20 minutes, really easy. We got there, well organized festival. It took a while to find it because it was like the bar was like in the middle of the forest. So we had
Jesus.
to drive around, the GPS couldn't find it. Finally, the drummer said, let's try the GPS on my phone. And sure enough, we found it maybe 10 minutes later. And it was a great show. It was Bloodstock 2, Metal for the Masses. And it was like a bunch of Polish bands, and they're fighting to get on the Bloodstock Fest in the UK. And a young band with a girl singer. They were great, and I was glad they voted for them. I really thought they were the best band of the night. So that was great. Obviously,
Nice.
Master headline. We all played near the end of the show, and it was a great show. But I'm just saying this young band was really great, and they deserve it. As for the name of the young band, I don't remember right now, but whatever, doesn't matter. Good for
I mean,
them.
you can always email it to me and we can put it in the show notes, give them a shout out.
Yeah, there you
Uh,
go. I remember at the moment,
Man, I'm sorry, I'm still starstruck, dude. It's a
Oh,
huge honor
oh,
talking to you, brother.
no problem.
Um,
Okay.
I didn't expect you to be like, yeah, I'll do it. And I'm like, shit. I told
Well,
my
yeah,
wife,
of course. Yeah. I like talking about metal. Why wouldn't I want to do that?
so you are, you are one of the godfathers of death metal. You've been doing masters since fuck what, the 80s?
Yeah, 83. That's really when it
So
started.
yeah. And then before that, you were in the band, oh fuck, Death.
Warcry.
Okay,
Warcry.
Orca, right. Okay.
Warcry. Okay, Warcry I was actually the first band I was in a band called White Cross, and that was in high school. And obviously the guys named the band after the speed, after White Cross the speed. I know that. I didn't know it then, but years later I figured it out. Anyway, then I was in a band called Warcry, and then as you said, Master came along. And Master didn't get as far as recording right away. So in 83, it was a short-lived band. Me and the drummer were hanging out trying to get shit together. We ended up splitting up, and then I put together Death Strike, recorded the Death Strike demo, and less than a year later, we got back together and recorded a demo for Master. So that's kind of how that confusing part went. Now, unfortunately for the guys from the original members in Master, they they gave up music. They didn't have what it took to keep going. The drummer was a drug addict, and I'm sure he still is too. He was homeless for many years, and not by my fault. His own choice. He made a lot of mistakes in the early days. I had to go on without him. And the guitar player, Chris Middlebrun, he just had so many girlfriends and he got married so many times, he just couldn't keep his shit together. He wasn't interested in playing in the band. He was interested in getting fucked, which is okay.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah.
yeah, no problem. And I got no problem with drugs too, but just everything within moderation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can you can smoke marijuana and smoke hash, and cocaine if you want. I don't care as long as you do it in moderation and you get the band practice and you play the concerts. I don't have a problem with any of that. Same with the chicks, of course. I'm married myself, but you don't let it get in the way of the music. You still got to go out and play the show. And so the original members, they've been gone ever since the beginning. We were together for a few years and that's it. And I just kept going on without them.
Well, you've been the driving force behind the band. So,
But in the
uh,
beginning, the one thing I always tell everybody, in the beginning, it really was great because we had three songwriters. The guitar player was writing songs, the drummer was writing songs on guitar as well, and I was writing songs as well. So it was much easier then. You had three songwriters bringing songs to the table together, and that was rock and roll. And it's
yeah.
really unfortunate. Oh, we got a bit, yeah, unfortunate for them that it all fell apart. And by the second album, I had to do everything on my own pretty much, you know.
I mean, I
So
understand that frustration.
I really had to become a writer then, you know, more writing more of the stuff, taking the reins of the band, organizing everything. It was a lot harder, but whatever. It was a good experience, and this is why I can still do it today, you know, because I
Yeah.
know how to, you know, how to say, learning by doing, you know, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you go into the studio now, are you still the primary songwriter and you just kind of bring musicians with you to fill it out when you go touring and playing shows?
Man. Oh man,
Uh-oh.
I'm losing you again. We got a bad connection. There's a big storm coming this way. I hope it doesn't screw it up. No, I have a lineup here. I think that's what you're asking me. I have
Yes,
a
yeah.
line. Yeah, it was like going. It was really cool actually, but I couldn't understand you. But I caught the last little part. Yeah, I have a lineup here. I've been jamming with these guys for several years. The guitar player and I jammed for 13 years before we split up for 2 years during COVID. We split up just before that, I suppose, and I had a different lineup for a while. Then COVID came in and destroyed everything again. And then this guitar player came back, and a drummer I had like 11 years ago, who was with us for 1 year, he also came back to the band. So we're a steady unit now, yeah.
Oh, that's
We're,
good. That's
you
good.
know, I write the songs and teach the guys how to play the songs on guitar, etc. And then we go in and record, yeah. I write
Awesome.
everything on the guitar now. Years ago, I used to write on the bass, but then eventually I taught myself how to play guitar better. And now I write all the songs on guitar, like for the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 albums. I wrote the guitar, taught the guitar player how to play the guitar on the song, you know, songs, and then went in and recorded the bass, of course, and etc., you know, kind of thing.
I honestly, man, I could play the guitar to save my life. I don't know what it is, but for me, it's just easier to play my bass and write my songs that way.
That's
And
what I'm
then,
saying. That's how I started too. And then one day I picked up an electric guitar, I started playing it and realized that wow, I can write songs and get more melodies on the guitar. It's much easier to write a song on the guitar. Now, for like probably the last 10 years, I've written songs on the acoustic guitar, and it's really easier that way just to get a melody. Yeah.
yeah,
I don't I don't write every day. I don't pick up the guitar very often. Once in a while, you know, I'll pick up the guitar, let's say once a month, maybe once in 2 months. And then I'll just play around with it and hopefully something comes up. And sometimes I'll write a riff and sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll write a couple of whole songs. It comes and goes. I can't explain it, yo.
I mean, damn, dude. I mean, this far along in your career, I mean, hell, whatever works for you works for you. You know,
Yeah, yeah, good point.
yeah. I mean, that's my wife is a music teacher,
Okay.
and we have an acoustic guitar, and she's like, "Why don't you just write your material on the guitar?" I never thought about that until recently, and I was like, "Oh, shit, maybe she's actually right." And then
Yeah.
again, I'm married, and she's always right. So,
Yeah, yeah, I understand. I am too. Don't worry. No argument there, yeah.
no, no. As long as she's happy, everything's happy.
Exactly. It's fine. I agree. Good one. Funny.
So tell me a little bit about your latest album, man. I think it's one of the most brutal ones actually that you've released lately.
Well, you know, people ask me about it, and it's like I didn't do anything that I didn't do before. It's nothing different. I wrote the songs the same way, etc. What I think kind of helps out, what kind of helped out is there was like a 5 year break from the last record, or almost 6 years. Vindictive Miscreant was done, I think, in 2018. So let's say 6 years, but now 6 years. But really, we recorded the album a year ago. It came out in January. It was already in the bag over a year ago. So really, technically, it was 5 years. But the point is, I didn't do anything different. I just think that for some reason, 5 years away from master kind of got everybody to listen to it again. You know,
Yeah.
people like question, you know, say, "Oh yeah, you haven't written anything in 5 years or whatever." Well, you know, we had 2 years of COVID. I had a couple years of playing shows, and then the band broke up. I got a new lineup, then I got the old lineup back together, etc. So a lot of time went by, sure. But for some reason now everyone's anxious to hear Master again, and it's a good thing for me. So in some ways, that 5 year break between records kind of fooled everybody. The last record was great too, but a lot of people just
Oh yeah, yeah.
but I mean, a lot of people missed the last record. I don't understand it. But I think they needed that 5 year break, and then we needed that push from Hammerheart to get back in the people's ears and eyes, etc. again, Really.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I wouldn't say it's fatigue, but sometimes you just have to take your music, put it on the back burner for a while, kind
Yeah.
of re-energize yourself, and then when you come back at it, it's like you said, you may not, you said you didn't do anything different,
Yeah.
but subconsciously your body
Maybe.
puts a little, yeah, you put a little more vigor into it.
That's
I
possible.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
I'm
mean, you
saying,
don't have a bad album in your discography, and I don't say that
man,
about many bands.
a lot of people are always say, oh, only the first two records, and I'm just like, man, there's more than just the first two records. There's plenty of other good shit. You got to open your eyes and ears and, take a listen, look at it. You
Yeah,
might, although I think a lot of people, they missed out on many of the other records. There's other records that I like too. I like the Human Machine and the New Elite. There's some good records out there. But
yeah,
just the
yeah,
people are just starting to discover these records now. Thankfully, that Hammerheart did a good job on the reissues, and now people are just discovering it. I'm just like, man, the record was recorded 15 years ago. Where you been? But it's
well,
okay.
yeah. I mean, I could understand it, but I guess to be honest with you, when I heard the first album, something just clicked, and I was like, all right, I got to follow this band. And
Cool.
anytime you put a new album out, I was like, cool. The guys at the local record shop where I used to live would be like, hey, Master's new album comes out. You want it? I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, just give it to me.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
I hate that I haven't got to see you guys live, but
Maybe someday we'll see. The problem in America is there's not a lot of good offers for me. I need to go out on a tour where it's worth my time. It's
yeah,
like if people are writing and it's like, oh, can you come out for a weekend? Fuck you. I'm not flying from Europe to America for a weekend. I know that
yeah.
I know that McEntee, from Incantation and some other bands, they'll do that. They'll fly anywhere for a show, but I'm 60 years old. Man. If it's not worth my and it's not lucrative, I'm not going. Come on. You know what I
You
mean?
know, I mean, you've been in the game for so long, you have that pleasure to do that. That's like if Deicide, if Quinn was just like, fuck it, I'm not playing these shows, you've paid your dues and so is it, so fuck it. I mean, nobody can hold that against you.
No, I'm just
And
saying.
I mean, I
Well,
wouldn't hold it
I'm
against
really
you.
good offers in America these days, so that's why I'm not there very often. Once in a while.
Uh, You're
I'll do.
from you're from America, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Chicago. I grew up in
Okay.
Chicago.
You're from my parents' home state.
But if it's not that I don't like touring America, it's just most of the time you're touring in a van and you're fighting over money and they got door deals and you're not making much money and I'm not into it. Over
Yeah.
here in Europe, I have a guarantee. So of course I'm out in my car driving to the show or hopping on a tour bus sometimes or like the tour next week is a van tour. It's called the Triple Threat Fest or whatever. It's three bands. Three guys in each band. We're driving in a van, a 9-seater van with a trailer, and it's going to be a blast, of course. It's 10 days, but it's just Germany, Holland, and Belgium. It's easy. We got about 10 guys, or well, not 10 guys, whatever, and 9 guys can drive. So we can switch drivers at any time. So that's really easy as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
America,
I can
I'm like sometimes I'm doing like a 4-week tour and I'm doing most of the driving. I'm doing the merchandise, I'm doing the driving, and I'm playing in the band. Not always easy. And then some guy at the door hands you $100 and you're like, wow, that was a long drive and show for $100. What the fuck?
bucks.
And then you go to the next one. You hope for a better thing.
Yeah. We when I was in a band, God knows, probably over 15 years ago, I'm in Alabama. We drove all the way to the northern point of Kentucky,
Okay.
and the door guy was like, "Oh, we're gonna pay you, pay you." We get there, we play the show, and they're like, "We only have some leftover pizza and cupcakes."
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, "Shit." I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"All right." I was
I've
like, "Okay."
been there, done that, believe me. But not
And,
anymore.
and to me, I was kind of like, "All right, I think my touring days and shit like that are over." I was like,
Yeah,
"I don't want to do it again."
I can understand that. Believe me, I can understand it.
And then I've got small kids now. Well, I say small. I've got an 11-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and 1-year-old.
Now that's
There's no
small.
way. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no way I want to tour and be away from them that long.
no way.
So,
I don't have any kids, so for me, my kids are the band, so that's okay for me. But not
I'm,
for everyone.
yeah. I mean, you can adopt me if you want to. I mean, yeah.
Comedy, funny. But yeah, it's not for everyone. I understand, but I'm just saying that over here, you got a guarantee. You're not screwing around fighting for money all the time. So things run better. It's better for your frame of mind. Okay, we just did a tour in South America. I just came back a month ago. That was 26 shows and planes, trains, automobiles, and it was a crazy one. But for most of the tour was good. There were a couple crappy shows, but mostly pretty good. I think Brazil was okay. Maybe 5 out of the 17 shows in Brazil were, for me, decent. But like Chile and Colombia, these shows were packed and they were great every day. Hundreds of people going crazy. Believe me, it was a good time. You know,
I've heard they're very, very respectful towards metal bands that come and tour around there.
and they're still hungry.
Yeah. I think the only time I saw something bad was when fucking Nickelback played and they threw rocks at Nickelback, and I just got a hell of a laugh out of that.
Well, we can understand that.
I mean, shit, I'd be throwing rocks at them too. So,
Exactly.
but so you're doing some more tours and so forth right now. Sorry.
I'm leaving on Friday for 10 shows. And then the following week come home and play another outdoor festival in Germany, 25-year anniversary from the Pratzen Open Air. It's a big one. So, we're doing a lot of stuff. We're busy this year. And I'm sure next year again, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. I know a couple of friends of mine who are playing in bands that actually moved over to Europe for the sheer fact that the scene is stronger to them there, and it was a lot easier for them to do it full time than in America.
Yeah, of course.
So, oh yeah, I can't
I
remember.
moved I moved to the Czech Republic 24 years ago.
Ooh, shit.
So you get the answer. That was the same reason. I moved out here because the people show me more respect out here and are willing to come and see me and willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
You know, not only about the money, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, the first few years were a struggle, and then after that, I started making a living, and I've been making a living ever since. That's all I do now. I only play music and sell merchandise. I have to go to the post office and stuff all the time, nearly, almost every day. But it doesn't matter. It's not a tough job.
No, it's not a tough job at all. Well, I say that, but it is a tough job to a degree because you still have to get into the creative process
Yeah,
and
but
but for you it's easier for you than it would be for me because I haven't played music in 10 years, so I'm
okay.
kind of just now trying to get right back into it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard for me to write lyrics, especially when I've got like Bluey or Paw Patrol in the background. I've got like 1-year-old running around with like a tea set, and I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, okay. That sounds like a good life anyway. So good for
It's a
you.
great life, man. I Having kids is the greatest adventure for me.
Okay,
So
I respect that, of course. You know.
but then again, there's some times where I'm like you, I was like, damn, if I hadn't had kids.
Oh, okay.
But I completely understand that. So when you were starting, what were some of your influences when you first started out? What bands were kind of motivating you and getting you
What
into it?
really got me going in the beginning was like Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, that album, and early Aerosmith, Ted Nugent. I discovered Montrose, obviously Led Zeppelin. This
Yeah.
was all stuff I was listening to, Thin Lizzy, all that stuff in high school. I'm old, so you understand. This was back in the early 70s. But years later, then, in the early 80s, and I discovered like bands like Motorhead and Discharge and GBH and MDC, The Exploited, Slayer, obviously, right around the same time, all this
Yeah.
heavier stuff and pushed me in a heavier direction. Obviously, bands like Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden in the beginning were really my biggest influences, you know. I got to see Iron Maiden like on the Number of the Beast. Uh, I met Steve Harris, was a really cool guy.
Nice.
He put me on the guest list for the second or third show in Chicago, and that was really nice. I sat around backstage drinking beer and talking about playing bass and discussing things like that. It's a long time ago, but it was a good to meet the guy,
Yeah. Oh, dude, I can't believe you met him, man.
you know.
That's awesome. That is fucking awesome, bro. That is really awesome.
Another really important figure in my life was Geezer Butler.
Oh
Still,
yeah,
just a great player, such great feeling his bass playing,
yeah.
It's like in today's world, like on the newer albums and stuff, there's still no bass. They don't have bass anymore in the last like maybe 15 years. There's no bass on the albums in the
No.
mixes. But on my albums, the bass is still there always.
Yeah. And that's what I like about you because a lot of the other death metal bands or even black, well, you can fucking forget a black metal band having a bass on the forefront just because it's black metal.
Yeah.
But
I
I
understand it.
just,
Bass is really important.
it is to me, it is. It's what gives the thickness
Yeah.
of
It's
the
like
al or the song.
the bass and the drums are the foundation of the band. Without a good bass player and drummer, you ain't shit.
I agree. I 100% agree with that because I listen to a lot of these modern death metal bands that are coming out, and I'm like, I can't hear the fucking bass.
You
And I'm
got it.
like, this is really, it bothers me. But then if I go back and I listen to a punk band like the Jesus Lizards,
Mhm.
the bass is right in your face next to the vocals,
Perfect.
and I'm like, that's that's fucking amazing to me.
Exactly.
And
Like,
I feel
yeah, like when we did on the 7 Day God Created Master, it started out, it had bass in the beginning. And we went outside in Scott Burns' car, that idiot Scott Burns and the famous idiot producer. And we went out there, we listened to the car, to the mix in the car, and the bass was actually okay at that point. And he said to me, "Oh, there's too much bass, Paul. We got to turn it down a little bit." He turned it down. There was no bass on the record. One little part where you can hear the bass, where he turned it up, one little break. That's not fucking metal.
no,
Anyway, I mean, let's face it, the record sold about 50,000 copies. I admit that. But with no bass was total BS. After that, I never worked with that idiot again. And I put the bass back into all the next albums after that, to the latest one.
that is the first time I've ever heard anybody say something negative about Scott.
Oh, fucking dickhead, believe me.
It
Yeah.
was you really?
He wasn't fucking cool at all, man. He was talking shit about other bands. And I
That's
mean,
not professional.
what I thought about that was maybe he was talking. I'm sure he was talking shit about me when I left, and he was talking shit about us because I read something. I didn't read his book, but they were talking. Somebody was telling me about his book, and he said that the second wave of bands that came from Europe to record at Morris Sound were like second-rate players and not so good. And I thought about, man, what a shitty thing to say, first of all, and second of all, Master influenced the whole goddamn Florida scene. So what the hell was he talking about? They only recorded in Florida because they lived there. Yeah. So the
Yeah,
second so the second wave of bands were flying in, from different places from Europe and stuff like me, and that's a bit different.
yeah,
Just say
yeah. I can't fucking understand that because I would think, what about the band Sepultura from Brazil? Like, how are those guys? Why would you even classify them as second-rate
he
musicians?
said he said the later recordings were all second class musicians, and I just thought, wow, because there were a lot of good records after that.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. How are your feelings about the metal scene now, the way things are, the cancel culture that gets involved in it? How do you feel about all that stuff?
Crappy. There should be a cancel culture for what? Whatever happened to freedom of expression?
It doesn't exist. If you have enough money, it exists.
Yeah, well, that's not right, man. Root of
That's
all evil. Even though you need it. Sometimes yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think that you need freedom of expression, man. So you got to
Oh
fight
yeah,
for. I don't understand what's going on. America certainly changed over the last couple of years, and I'm glad I'm where I'm at. There's still a lot. There's still a lot more freedom here. Believe me.
don't
Yeah.
tempt me to move over there. Don't tempt me.
Well, there's a lot more. That's why I'm here. That's all I can say, I found more freedom in the Czech Republic 24 years ago, I left when Bush, I think Bush was on his second run of 4 years or whatever. 4 more years of terror, I think I did in 2004. So that was the second time. Yeah, 2004. Yeah, anyway, I was already here in 2000, but whatever. I put out that record in 2004, 4 more years of terror when he was getting ready for his second run.
Yeah. I mean, who can blame you though? To be honest with you.
I left when he came into power, and I had a lot of trouble and stuff being an American when I was here at first. It was crappy. There was like
Yeah.
there was an example. I was on tour, I think in 2004. I think with Dismember, we were doing a tour, and I was a merchandiser on the tour, and we pulled up to the French-Swiss border, and they strip searched me only because I was the only American on the bus. They definitely had,
What?
yeah, they had issues at that time with Bush. They weren't getting along with all this shit with the Iraq War and stuff. So they strip searched the only American on the bus, and that was pretty crap, shitty
That
experience. But I did make the best out of it because I went into the room, and they said drop your pants, and I dropped my pants, and I started shaking my ass and wiggling, hitting my butt, going, "Hey, you like that? How do you like that?" And the guys were like, "Oh, you can put your pants on, sir. You can go, just like that." They let me go right away. They got smoked. I burned them. I'm not afraid to tell that story because I burned them. That was great.
that dude. That I don't blame you. A while back
Yeah, I got him on that one.
a while back we had Bortnagar from Norway come here in Alabama and play a show.
Great.
And I was talking to their singer back then, Vince Dragog, and I was like, "So, how do you feel about being an American?" He's like, "We're done." He's like, "We're pulling the rest of the shows." I was like, "That bad?" And he's like, "That bad." I was like, "Really?" He was just like, he's like, "No offense to you." He's like, "We're glad you support us." He's like, "But the scene is so disrespectful." He's like, "You got people throwing shit at us."
Oh,
He's like,
wow.
like he got spit on. I was just like, why would you do that? But then I'm in the Bible Belt,
Okay.
so it's
That's
like
probably not a good place to be playing. Maybe
not a
not.
good.
I don't know.
If I ever get this project off ground, I'm sure I'll get plenty of death threats and all that. But fuck it. It just is what it is.
We're living a crazy world today. I don't know. Yeah.
Everybody's crazy. That's why the cancel culture, them bringing it into metal, is just it's toxic to me.
Yeah.
And
I
you know,
understand.
I mean, the whole reason why I got into metal was there's a community in it. And you're like, oh, well, these guys, they like this band. I like this band. And then we would take
Hey,
trade tapes.
sure, of course. I understand. That's how it all
And
started for me. You know that. The tape
and
trading culture. We discovered one another. You're right. I agree.
and now everything's just Bandcamp, MySpace, Bandcamp, MySpace, or not
Yeah.
MySpace, but I mean everything's electronic now.
Yeah, yeah. Things were better back then,
Yeah.
before the computers. Okay,
Uh
I'll admit, I sell a lot of merchandise online and stuff. I do great with that, but let's face it, back in the day, what's cool? Tape trading and ordering stuff from people, and just putting the money in an envelope and sending it to somebody. And at that time, that nobody was stealing the money, they would get it and send you a tape or whatever, a shirt, and things were cool back then, for sure. I agree.
I agree. I agree.
Good time.
Uh well, Paul, I'm gonna wrap this interview up.
No problem.
Uh
What happened to you? I had a
and
good
I had me too. I'll talk to you a little bit after I stop the recording.
no problem, brother. Excellent. Thank you.
But thank you for being on the show and gracing me with your presence. I
All
really
right.
appreciate it.
I'm happy to be here.
All right, man.
Good, brother. Thank you.
Cheers.